I observed still all of these are basically into the experimentation or testing phase. None of them actually is a major rollout, frankly. Another use case is I was reading about BB and Dish Telecom. They're using the 5G for electric grids and utilities. Basically, as you know, electric grids, be it the solar or wind or fuel, or fossil fuel based uh, generations, those are all critical infrastructure, and the communication, some of them are really remote sites, right? So especially those, the wind powers, it could be into far inside in the deserts, or some of them are the floating wind powers, the farms also. So getting the data from those remote locations with the high availability and the low latency use cases, this is where they see the potential use cases. So we're not talking here about the smart meters, because those are typically fits for the LPWAN use cases. But the infrastructure point of view, where all these multi-systems have to connect without any kind of delay in the communications, and many of them are high bandwidth use cases, is where we see the 5G applications. So this is one in utilities. This another one I see a few of them in industrial setting is on mobile robots, AGVs within the factory plants. Even in Singapore, there is a large port, the shipping port, which is the one of the most advanced shipping port in the world. So they are also experimenting a lot of AGVs or the autonomous cranes and all those machineries. I do not know if they're using 5G, but certainly they're using some other additional kind of high bandwidth application. So they're also experimenting 5G in those scenarios, or it could be as simple as the AGVs running into the large facilities, providing services, inventory management solutions. And the image you see here is with again the Bosch and the this one I think is Bosch, Rexroth, where they are kind of testing the 5G for inventory management use cases. And some of the experiment I saw a similar use cases for the hospitals. So within the hospitals, when they're either moving the medicines or some materials, especially in Singapore, I've seen many such use cases. They're using already AGVs, but they're also trying it out 5G using in those scenarios. Another use cases, this is from Singapore. There's a company called OneBerry, as you might see in the logo of the robot. So mobile surveillance is one of the use cases they're testing it out using 5G. This is a mobile robot, but at the same time they're also doing the video surveillance, which is fixed on the poles, because there's so heavy bandwidth of data required when you're using the video surveillance. So this is another similar use case for video surveillance, but this one is from Samsung, which they're using for indoor train stations. So one of the challenges which we always see when we go indoor, and especially in the facilities like train stations, which is typically underground. So we always have the challenges of the connectivity issues. So we hopefully, let's see, the 5G could address such use cases. So this particular use case also Samsung is trying it out, I think with SK Telecom, if I'm not wrong. And there's another one, kind of almost last use case, which I saw. Again, this is from Korea. SK Telecom is doing for traffic safety and services, where the vehicles are communicating with the vehicles, V2V communications or V2 infrastructure communications. Basically, again, the same multi-systems are communicating with each other, because the use case is in that environment we can't afford the latency, right? So by the time if if there's a latency, the accident may happen. Right? So they're also testing it out 5G in that environment. Right? So these are the few examples I have been observing, but at the same time, I must say, while 5G has a lot of use cases, at the same time, industry is still kind of figuring it out, which are the sweet spot, because at the end of the day, it's a bit of chicken and egg situation. Right? So unless there's a massive rollout of 5G will happen, and commercially it becomes viable, there'll be slow adoption. Right? So, but there, whereas the high bandwidth use cases, for example, the OTT platform, I was talking to one of the multinational company who provided the infrastructure for 5G. For them, they were trying initially a lot of other use cases, which were not getting tractions. But finally, they decided, okay, CK, I think these are the only few use cases we can address today, given the readiness as well as the commercial viability is concerned. So we need to find those sweet spot. So personally, coming from the IoT background, as I mentioned, that for us, IoT is an end-to-end application, and connectivity is just one layer of the whole solution. What fits for IoT use cases, we are also observing and see where we can deploy some of the similar use cases. Right? So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have. I mean, this is my connect. You are happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. Just search for me on CK Vishwakarma. So I do communicate with various technology providers, solution providers, as well as end customers, and all of them are actually looking forward, the same time scratching their head, where do we use 5G in IoT applications? But from our point of view as a company, as well as the thought leaders in the region, 5G has a sweet spot at this point of time in AR/VR kind of use cases, which many of the industries are experimenting, be it for training or for maintenance services, or for gaming application, even for the matter. While it is not a critical infrastructure, but gaming is another big use cases where many companies are experimenting 5G for. So that's what my short presentation was. I hope it was something useful. Like I said, given the time we have, I'm happy to share more information over the email or even one-to-one, and provide you more insight from what is happening in Southeast Asia, especially in Singapore and the region, and also exchange some insights what is happening in the other part of the world. So I'm open for the question. So Punish, over to you now.
Thank you, CK. Thank you for your time. Let's proceed to the next speaker, Eric Malik from Paris, France, to discuss on the 5G pricing strategy and digital BSS.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you. So my name is Sadiq Malik. I'm a telecommunications consultant, and we provide bespoke services to telecom operators on 5G network function, virtualization, etc. And I also run with a company called Hansacom. We run 5G briefings and workshops in the Schengen zone as well as Middle East. So my presentation is really two parts, but both parts are linked. And one is the issue of pricing in 5G. So here we are. Everybody can see that? Pricing, the big issue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right.
Yes.
So the question now is, there are pricing, of course, as you know, pricing of data is one of the biggest things which leads to profitability. And the question is, how are operators going to sell 5G? And of course, is it pure connectivity or is it something else? And if I were to look at some of the pricing bundles. If you take SK pricing in Korea offers a premium package based on speed, unlimited data, and a rich bundle. So they provide AR, VR services, but it's basically a bundled offering. So they're very heavy on AR and VR to gain early 5G adopters, and perhaps later they might go to speed, latency, and reliability. These, by the way, speed, latency, and reliability are the traditional 4G LTE pricing models. Okay, let's look at Verizon. Verizon, when they started, they were offering 300 megabytes with promise of 1 gigabyte. And of course, Verizon, as you know, their 5G network is based mainly, or when they started, on millimeter wave. I think it was 28 megahertz. And of course, they could sort of offer that, but of course, the coverage with millimeter wave is not so good. So that's Verizon, which was still tippy-toeing in terms of, they said, we will provide, the customers can pay $10 extra, and then they can upgrade to 5G. So I'm just looking at various telco operators before I come to our personal view on this. Next one is Elisa. The CEO of Elisa said, Elisa is in Finland, that human impatience is the killer app. In other words, their whole package is based on speed. And they say that they're doing very well. So they have, high speed, mid speed, low tier speed, different speeds, which they say is working very well for them. So this is a speed-based thing. And then let's just look at Vodafone. Okay, Vodafone launched their 5G offering, and they went for unlimited speed tiers, right? So we have among the operators unlimited bandwidth, speed tiers. There is no latency offering at the moment, what I've seen. And of course, these rich bundles like Korea Telecom, which is basically saying that we will bundle everything in like artificial reality, virtual reality, and all the fun things for consumers. Okay, so, and finally, this was Swisscom. And Swisscom again offered speed plus speed. Everybody's looking for that. And they also started making money off phones, because people were buying 5G phones, and Swisscom is making money from people who are upgrading as well, right? Switzerland is a particular country as well. The per capita, as you know, is very high. And they were able to sell phones as well and make a profit margin. So the question is, this, I try to encapsulate what it is all about. I mean, these are your pricing models of 5G. Now, if you look at the bottom here, you start with data buckets. Then you go to speed tiers, you go to bundled content, and then you go to latency, capacity, slices. Now, as far as I know from my research on this, of course, you've got people who are offering data buckets, but the data bucket, you can blow 100 gig in 1 week. Then you've got speed tiers. Elisa is offering speed tiers, and they say speed is what people are looking for. Bundled content here, it's SK Telecom, which is doing that. But the real stuff of 5G still is not there, because the speed strategy, the pricing strategies are still not in keeping with 5G's promise of low latency, super high speed. So Industry 4.0 once we move into release 16, they might move into latency, all right, and capacity, because that's where network slicing starts, right? So what is the pricing strategy when it comes to Industry 4.0? Are they looking for capacity? Are they looking for latency? Or are they looking for fall? This we have not seen yet, because actually the most 5G networks are still non-standalone. Standalone core, as you know, comes with release 16. And as we move further up, we put in something called a contextual moment. In other words, a personalized offer. So suppose somebody goes to a stadium to see their favorite band, a system can recognize, should be able to recognize where the consumer is going with his smartphone, right? And be able to offer high speed or a bucket, super speed with an additional bucket for offering during that contextual moment. This is a different kind of thinking behind it. And actually, it is possible to anticipate and influence customer behavior. So these are the things. So most operators are still on the traditional data bucket speed bundle. These higher limits where there is more money to be made, and of course it's very contextual and personalized, we might see as we go along into release 16. Right. Now, it is possible to do that with what we call IoT sensor data, because we have an IoT device already with us, which is our smartphone. And there are different platforms that are out there, whether it's a wearable sensor or our smartphone, that can actually track, of course, with your permission, where you're going during the day. So this is IoT tracking. Would that provide behavioral insights? Okay, so this is something that, now coming to, based on this, we come the issue of the digital BSS, because pricing, as you know, pricing comes out of the BSS. And most operators are still running on traditional BSSs. Of course, they're moving slowly towards the cloud, what we call a cloud-based BSS. And this is the new thing, because as you know, one of the previous speakers talked about Kubernetes and microservices, and that's what I'm going to touch on briefly. So what is the BSS that you require to provide, create services fast and deliver fast, allow multiple pricing, and facilitate ecosystem transactions? Because 5G is all about ecosystems and IoT, and there's a lot of devices connecting, and you need a BSS, what they call digital BSS, that can handle that. Now, of course, we come into the world of containers, microservices, agile, automation, analytics, and the DevOps. And of course, telco operators are now experimenting with this. Not all of them are on board, because they've got a lot of legacy BSS systems, their pricing systems, online charging systems. And of course, they would need to move into what we call this digital BSS. And the cloud native core, I'm sure my colleague Salimi will be more than happy because he explained in his presentation quite well Kubernetes and the cloud native core. So there we are. Now, this is from TMF Forum. They are moving into this cloud native core, right? Now, I would just like to say, start here on the left, which is a cloud native architecture that improves business and IT agility Then we move to real-time campaigns executed within a minute of personalized offers, and call CDRs and credit card processing and provisioning is much faster. So this is just one example of one of the operators that is moving into the new generation BSSs, right? So there we are. Basically, I'm towards the end of my presentation. The question, the main point was to link, sorry, just a minute, link this, the contextual personalized offer, and Industry 4.0 IoT pricing models to the digital BSS, which is the only thing in the cloud that can work fast enough in order to provide the kind of analytics and reaction to what the customers require. So I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Freddie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. The topic that I would like to speak is the 5G business monetization. The first questions that I would like to highlight here are CSPs ready to address the 5G market? CSPs, known as communication service provider, or the other word as MNO, mobile network operator. You see, the traditional CSP networks on 2G or 3G or 4G, they are very much on a traditional offerings, whether it's voice, SMS, or data. It's pretty straightforward. Standard packages, bundled packages, or unlimited data plans. And the customers that they are market is very much straightforward to B2B or B2C. So B2B is the CSP's direct enterprise market, or the other is B2C, which is directly to the consumers, the mobile phone users. Traditionally, the whole way of the CSPs sell their business is via pipe connectivity. In 5G, the whole landscape has changed, right? The market, because of the market needs, has been changed. 10 years back, there were no OTT players. Today, so many of OTT players are coming in the market to eat the CSP's business. So, and that's a lot of tons of applications are being produced on monthly basis, whether via the App Store or the Google Play Store, right? And there's a lot of cloud network solution as well. The other part is the IoT ecosystem. Are the CSPs ready to address the billions of devices that's connected? And also the big data, the data analytics and the insights. There's a huge demand of analytics or data that's been tapped through the IoT sensors. So there are 4 categories for CSPs to seriously look into market on the 5G applications. For example, number 1, the first category is called as the connectivity requirements, like a low latency, less than 5 milliseconds. Are they ready to offer 6 nines of reliability, and then 100% of coverage, 50 megabits per second of connectivity, or 10 years of a battery life, reduction in total cost of ownership, or 10 times of bandwidth per connection? Number 2, the category that the CSPs should look into is the applications, right? So in 5G, we have 3 main applications. The one subcategory is the enhanced mobile broadband, which is the UHD videos, AR, VR. The second is the massive machine type communication application, like the massive IoT, high density connectivity, diversified of devices, better coverage for the IoT. And the third is the ultra reliable low latency communications, which covers the autonomous vehicle connected, mission critical services, remote surgeries, robotics, those kind of stuff. The third category is the market customer segment, which is the consumer segment or the auto industry, health, agriculture, smart city, transport, education, etc. And the fourth category is about the mobile network operators business model. They can't able to actually apply the standard B2B or B2C segment. They should look into the B2B2B or B2B2C. That means they should address their customer's customer, right? Are they ready to actually offer such a diversified of packages solutions so that their customer's customer would be able to enjoy those kind of facilities? The other area is we should not forego the C2B. That means the consumer to business, right? So today, the consumer to business are the typical social media platform like the Facebook or Instagram, because customers are keep on giving feedbacks rather than complaints. They give all kind of feedbacks that they're not really happy with the services or the coverage or the reliability or so forth, right? So the other area that I would like to stress here is that whether the CSPs are ready to tackle the low power wireless access network, the LP1 technology. Because as you know, the LP1 area is been dominated by the other players like Sigfox and LoRa Alliance, right? Which they offer with the low kilobits per second for data and focusing into the smart manufacturing or agriculture, those kind of areas. So are the current traditional mobile operators able to handle those areas? In 2018, there were about 7 billion of IoT devices. 2019 was about 26.6 billion, huge increase. And 2020, we're expecting about 30 billion IoT devices. If we see a breakdown of the devices in early 2019, the main IoT areas comes from a smartphone, which covers about 5.5 billion, followed by the CCTV, and third is the smart utilities like the smart meter, and then fourth is the set-top box for the TV connectivity, and you'll be surprised the fifth falls in the smart TV, and sixth like the wearables, right, like watches, those kind of stuff. So CSPs will have a role to play in supporting new devices and services for consumers. Are CSPs ready to offer different business markets? Are CSPs have a platform with the right agility, right? So CSPs need to be able to monetize every type of a business model, right, that covers from the consumer behavior. Most customers expect 5G to be provided with the unlimited data. Everyone wants an unlimited data solution. But again, how to monetize this from on a CSP platform, right? They need to make some profit out of it. So either they can have on a sponsored data solutions, or they can have a sponsored feature. Sponsored feature means whether they can give a guaranteed throughput or guaranteed latency, those kind of areas. The other part that I would like to stress is something that Sadiq has actually mentioned earlier, nothing surprises. The area that I would like to stress is when customers want a service, that means customers really want a tailored service. Customers means it can be the retail market, whether it's fast moving consumer groups, they quickly they are looking for vanilla kind of mobile broadband offerings, right? So new apps and service propositions are happening faster. So you see the market needs quickly changing because customer taste quickly changes. So when their customers wants a better applications, or better user friendly, and so therefore it's a back to back. Therefore the CSP should be ready in order to address those kind of situations. See, all requiring time to market measured in minutes, right? So it's not on a week's basis, and that's where the network slicing